Hi, I'm Heather Fallona, and I want to take a moment to introduce myself. From a very young age, I was that little girl who would always ask, why? If it doesn't make sense, I wanted to know why, and why they thought that way, why they were telling me that's true, and so I'd always question everything. And I found myself doing it to my parents and at school, as well as at church. And specifically, I remember times going to Sunday school where I would ask questions and they were not well received. And I started noticing the reactions I was getting from adults when I would question certain things. So I finally just kind of shut things down a little bit in terms of, okay, these are questions that I can't ask others because it might be challenging their belief system or something they know to be true. So I found out early on that I had to be very more covert in find answers on my own and not asking them directly to the people that were trying to teach me things. So I spent a lot of time just kind of studying up on certain things, life. I remember from a very young age going into the bookstore. We would always go to the bookstore and actually the library. I would just sit there and read any books on the afterlife, anything that I could find. There wasn't a large section then, but I just remember being fascinated by the topic and really wanting to understand things more, spirit, angels, life after death. I was big into topics like that. So I just spent a lot of time watching those things on television, reading about them, anywhere I can digest the information. Fortunately, a lot of the information was coming out. So at that time, you had Crossing Over, those shows. So I would just sponge it up, anything I could get on that. And because I was having experiences, feelings, nudges, things I couldn't understand. And so when you have these things, it's not like you can often just go to anyone and talk about them. You really try to process, what is this? What does this mean? I would always have prophetic dreams about things before they would happen. And as a child, that's a little nerve-wracking, not understanding it. But I remember at a very young age just having a voice, a very subtle voice, just communicate with me in a very matter-of-fact manner. I knew it wasn't my own. It was just very calming, and it was like immediately when I would get the communication, it would just be so. And so those are the things I gravitated towards and tried to really understand what was happening. I didn't share that with many people, but it was just something I knew to be true within me, and I knew it wasn't bad. I knew it was good. I knew that the voice, the feelings, the prompts that I would get were good for me, so I just continued on with them. Fast forward years later, having children of my own and trying to kind of maneuver through life, you go through teenage years, you go through all those things, and you really kind of pull away from those things that the core of who you are. Life gets busy. You really have to focus on other people besides yourself. Just kind of getting through life, the influence of hormones, all those things. And so I really kind of, I wouldn't say I turned away from my spiritual aspect, but I didn't devote as much time as I did when I was younger. I just kind of let it be and kind of went on with my life. Then I ended up having my second daughter, and everything changed from there on out. From the moment she was born, I struggled. There was a lot going on. She has what we now know as sensory processing disorder as the medical diagnosis. And essentially, 10 years we spent going to doctors to try to figure out what does this mean, and we ended up going to a neuropsychologist through a series of random events, as they always occur when there's divine intervention. And after doing some brain tests on her, he said, there's nothing wrong. She's just psychic. She picks up on these things and she knows things. And it was for the first time hearing that in a long time. It's like I used to tell people I was psychic growing up and I knew things growing up, but I saw the reaction, so I stopped doing that. And all of a sudden, all those emotions and those feelings and those, like, my childhood came back in my face, and it was like, oh my gosh, I know what she's going through. If that was what was happening all these years, like, I understand what this is and why there's such a sensitivity to the outside world. And so it really, I kicked into high gear for me, and it was, I really, knowing what I knew about my own childhood and the experiences I had, it made me, well, you know, I can fix this. I can help her through this. This is not something that any doctor can help with. In fact, I cannot tell you the amount of doctors we went to in the span of 10 years, and finally just somebody verbalizing something that was within me all these years and that my daughter has, it changed everything. And so I basically would, take her to some developmental classes so she can understand what she's dealing with, a group activity where we could talk through what we're getting, what we're feeling, and just really trying to understand that sometimes the things that you're feeling are not your feelings, they're other people's feelings, and discerning what you're getting versus what other. It's when you're a child and you have this heightened sensory, the empathic abilities, you take on the world and the energies of the world, and you don't realize, well, wow, are these mine or are they theirs? And so they become yours because you're feeling them. You think they're yours. And so it creates for a lot of stress and chaos in that person's life, but in the family dynamics as well. And so I took her to several classes, and I would do the exercise with her, and immediately it was like I just opened things up, and I was showing her, this is what I'm getting, and all of a sudden I'm like connecting with loved ones who've crossed over. I was seeing all these visions, getting all these things, and it was like, oh my gosh. And it was interesting because my whole life everyone was asking me, what do you want to do? What do you want to do when you grow up? I'm like, I don't know. I just want to help people, whatever that looks like. And it came time to help my daughter, and I found that not only was I able to maybe help her in a sense, but it helped me, and that helping me allows me to help others. And so it's fascinating how everything unfolded, but I essentially started connecting with spirit and doing the work that I believe I was really always meant to do. But life, you have to live your life and do things, and things kind of get away from you there. But I'm just very blessed and honored to be able to serve spirit in this way, and very unexpected. I never kind of thought I would be going down this path, but it's my service, and it's what I do to try to help others, bring comfort to others that have lost loved ones, and just kind of help them in this heavy world that we sometimes live in, get through it. So that's a little bit about my background and how I got into this. Do I believe that everyone's born a medium or has mediumistic abilities? I would say I think everyone has the ability to connect at some level. Do I think that everyone will end up being able to communicate with spirit? Not always. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but I'm just thankful to be able to do the work, and I want you to kind of hear firsthand a little bit about my background and my story. And if you do decide to find any medium, it's important that you find one that you resonate with. And so because they will be the best guide for you in terms of getting information. If they're on the same energy level, they'll be able to effectively communicate better with your loved ones as well as you. So hopefully that gives you a little sense of who I am and what I'm about. And I just thank you for the opportunity to serve. Take care.